I caught my fiancée in bed with my best friend. "What are you gonna do, cry?" she mocked. I just smiled and left. This morning, my phone was full of missed calls from both of them. I never thought it would happen to me. Sure, people always talk about betrayal, how they saw it coming or how it blindsided them, but I had always believed it was something that happened to other people. Not to me, not with Emily, not with Aaron. But there I was, standing in the doorway, watching them. My fiancée, Emily, tangled up in my best friend's arms, laughing like everything was normal. There was no apology in her eyes, no guilt, just a mockery of everything I thought was real. As soon as the door creaked open, their laughter stopped. My stomach churned. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something, but I didn't. "Well," Emily said, looking at me with that same smug expression. "What are you going to do, cry?" I stood frozen in the doorway, staring at them. My heart was racing, and for a split second I almost believed that I might crumble. But then, I just smiled. "I'll see you later," I said, my voice calm, betraying none of the rage I felt inside. I didn't wait for a response. I didn't need one. I turned and walked out of the room, out of the house, and into the night. It felt like my entire world had come crashing down, but I wasn't about to let them see that. No, I was done being the fool. Before everything went to hell, Emily and I had been perfect together. We met in college, just two kids trying to figure out life. From day one, we were inseparable. Our connection was instant, intense, and deep. I thought I knew everything about her. The way she laughed, the way she looked at me when no one was around. We were going to spend the rest of our lives together. Aaron had always been there too. He was more than a friend. He was family. We had grown up together, shared secrets, covered for each other, and made plans for the future. He was the guy I trusted more than anyone else. The three of us spent every weekend together, grabbed drinks, played games, talked about everything and nothing at all. But then, over the last few months, things began to shift. Emily started being distant. At first, it was subtle. She began spending more time on her phone, more time at work. It wasn't out of the ordinary for someone with a busy career, but something about it didn't sit right with me. I tried to push it out of my mind, tried to tell myself I was overthinking it, but my gut kept nagging at me. I just couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. And Aaron, the guy who had been like a brother to me, he started avoiding me too. It wasn't as obvious at first, but I noticed the little things. Texts that weren't answered, plans that were canceled at the last minute, the way he wouldn't look me in the eye when we spoke. I ignored it, thinking maybe it was just stress, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Then the night I walked in on them, it all clicked into place. Emily and Aaron had been seeing each other behind my back. I couldn't understand how it happened or why. I had trusted them both. I had given them everything, and this was how they repaid me. I didn't say a word when I walked out of that house. Part of me wanted to scream at them. Part of me wanted to tear it all apart right then and there, but I didn't. Instead, I drove aimlessly. I had no destination in mind, just a desperate need to get away from it all. The betrayal burned like a fire in my chest, and I needed space to think. When I finally stopped at a park and turned off the car, I was overcome with a strange sense of calm. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I was numb. I could feel the loss, but at the same time, I knew something important had shifted within me. I was done. I wasn't going to chase them, beg for answers, or plead for an explanation. What good would it do? The night stretched on, and I sat there staring at the stars, replaying the images in my mind, the sight of them together, the way Emily had looked at me, the way Aaron hadn't said a word. But I didn't cry. I didn't feel weak. I felt something much stronger than that. Control. I was in control now, not them, not anymore. The next morning, I turned my phone back on. The missed calls were overwhelming. I didn't need to check who they were from. I already knew it was Emily and Aaron, both of them. But I wasn't going to pick up. Not yet. They could wait. Instead, I blocked both of their numbers. I deleted all their messages. I didn't want to hear their excuses. I didn't need them explaining how sorry they were or how it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was betrayal, and I wasn't about to let them spin it any other way. I didn't respond to their calls. I didn't text them. I did nothing. I wanted them to stew. I wanted them to feel the uncertainty, the panic, the confusion of not knowing whether I would ever speak to them again. I wanted them to suffer just like I had suffered when I walked in that room. Days passed, and the calls kept coming. Emily left voicemails. Aaron sent messages. They tried to reach me through mutual friends, but I didn't budge. I was resolute. The more they called, the more I smiled. I wasn't going to let them have the satisfaction of seeing me desperate. I wasn't going to give them the closure they wanted. I had no desire to fight them or get revenge in some dramatic way. No, my revenge was much more subtle than that. It was in the silence. It was in walking away from everything they had taken for granted. It was in showing them that I didn't need them, that I was better off without them. But then I realized something. They had no idea what they had lost. I wasn't just a man they had cheated on. I was someone they had both taken for granted. The love I had given them, the trust I had shown, the loyalty I had provided. They thought it was a given, but I wasn't some doormat. I wasn't going to let them trample all over me and then expect to be welcomed back with open arms. A week went by, and I started to feel the weight of the situation. Emily and Aaron were still trying to reach me, but I wasn't going to answer them. Instead, I decided to send them a message. Not a text, not a call. I wasn't going to give them that. No, I was going to make it clear to both of them that I was done. I went to the coffee shop where Emily and I used to go on weekends. I'd seen her there a few times, sitting by the window with a book, sipping her coffee. I'd always loved that about her, the way she could lose herself in a book, forgetting the world around her. I knew she'd be there today. I walked in, and there she was, sitting at our usual table. She looked up as soon as I walked through the door, her face flushing when she saw me. I could see the relief in her eyes as she stood up, ready to come over to me, but I didn't give her the chance. I walked to the counter, paid for my coffee, and left. I didn't look back. I didn't say a word. She would never understand. And honestly, I didn't care anymore. The weeks that followed felt like a blur. Emily and Aaron continued their attempts to reach me. They bombarded me with calls, texts, and voicemails, their messages becoming increasingly frantic, pleading for forgiveness, apologizing for their mistakes, and in Aaron's case, begging for me to talk to him so he could explain. But I didn't respond to any of them. I wasn't interested in hearing what they had to say. There was nothing they could say that would undo the damage they'd caused. In their minds, they probably thought time would heal things, that eventually I would come around and forgive them. But I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. They needed to feel the consequences of their actions, and I was more than willing to let them stew in the mess they'd created. I had started seeing a therapist to help process the pain. At first, I had felt this insatiable desire for revenge, something that would make them feel the way I felt. But I realized that revenge wasn't about them anymore. It wasn't about making them suffer for what they had done. It was about me. It was about taking control of my life and not letting their betrayal define me. So I focused on myself. I went to the gym, started cooking meals for myself, reconnected with old friends, and began to rebuild my life. The more I detached from them, the clearer everything became. I didn't need them to feel whole. I didn't need Emily, and I certainly didn't need Aaron. One evening, about a month after the betrayal, I received an unexpected message. It wasn't from Emily or Aaron, but from a mutual friend of ours, someone I hadn't spoken to in a while. She told me that Emily and Aaron had been talking a lot. They were both still trying to reach me, still apologizing, but they were also starting to turn on each other. The news made my stomach churn, but there was also a sense of satisfaction in it. Finally, I thought, they're realizing the consequences of their actions. But there was more. My friend went on to say that Emily had confessed something. She had admitted that the affair with Aaron wasn't a one-time thing. It had been going on for months. She had been cheating on me emotionally and physically for the entire duration of our relationship. I felt sick, but at the same time, something inside me told me this was the final piece of the puzzle I needed. I had no sympathy left for either of them. I was glad they were starting to fall apart. Their world had begun to crumble under the weight of their own lies, and I wanted to watch it burn. But I also realized that the longer I stayed silent, the longer they would think they could control the situation. They needed to understand that I was not the man they could manipulate anymore. They needed to feel the emptiness of knowing I had no intention of ever returning. A few days later, I was walking through the park when I ran into Aaron. Of course, it wasn't by accident. I knew he would come eventually. He always did. I had been avoiding him for weeks, but this time, I wasn't going to hide. This time, I would face him on my own terms. He was standing by a bench, looking lost, like a man who had no idea what had happened to his life. When he saw me, there was a brief flicker of guilt in his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by nervousness. He cleared his throat and walked toward me. "Hey, man," Aaron started, his voice low, almost pleading. "Can we talk?" I know what you saw. I know what I did, but I didn't mean for things to happen like this. I've been trying to reach you, but you won't answer. I owe you an explanation." I didn't say anything at first. I just stared at him, letting the silence stretch between us. He seemed to get more anxious, shifting from foot to foot, trying to find the right words. "I'm sorry," Aaron said. "I've made a huge mistake. Emily and we didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to hurt you." I finally spoke, my voice calm, almost detached. "You didn't mean to hurt me? That's what you're going with?" I shook my head, incredulous. "You think it's that simple? You think you can just apologize and make everything better? I've known you my whole life, Aaron. You were like a brother to me. But what you did wasn't a mistake. It was betrayal. And you know what? You and Emily can keep trying to explain it away, but I'm done listening." I saw his face shift. The guilt was still there, but now it was replaced by a touch of frustration. "I'm just trying to make things right, man." I looked him straight in the eye, my words cutting through the air. "You're not going to make things right. What's done is done, and there's nothing you can say that will change it. You think I'm just going to forgive you and move on? Well, I'm not, so save your breath." With that, I turned around and walked away. He didn't say anything else. He just stood there, watching me leave. I didn't look back. The old me might have stopped, might have had the conversation, but not anymore. I had taken control of my own life, and I wasn't going to let anyone, least of all him, take it from me. The next day, I got a text. It was from Emily. For the first time in weeks, I felt a twinge of something deep inside me. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was almost pity. The message was short. "Can we talk? I know I've hurt you, but I miss you. I made a mistake. Please just talk to me." I didn't respond right away. Instead, I thought about it. I thought about everything we had been through, the years we had spent together, the trust I had given her, and how easily she had thrown it all away. I thought about Aaron, how he had been there through everything, how he had smiled in my face while stabbing me in the back. Then I made a decision. I typed out my reply and pressed send. "I'm done. I don't need either of you in my life. You made your choices, and now I'm making mine. Goodbye." And that was it. I had cut the last remaining thread. There were no more messages, no more apologies, no more explanations. I had freed myself from the chains of their betrayal, and in doing so, I had found the peace I had been searching for. Months went by. Emily and Aaron continued their lives, but they were both fractured in ways I couldn't have predicted. Emily found herself alone, isolated from the people who had once admired her. Aaron, too, lost his friendships, his connections. But it wasn't my job to watch. It wasn't my responsibility to care about what happened to them. The only person who mattered now was me. The real lesson wasn't in making them pay. It wasn't in the revenge. It was in realizing that my life was mine to control, and that in the end, the most powerful thing you can do in the face of betrayal is to walk away. Because sometimes the best revenge is living well without them. Was this revenge justified, or did it go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your take. And if you love jaw-dropping pro-revenge stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the like for more thrilling tales you won't want to miss. Every like, share, and subscription means the world to us. It helps us keep bringing you the stories you crave. Your support truly makes a difference. Thank you so much for being part of our community.